Anyway, let's keep moving on. Next up, let's keep going. We have another article here, also from chess.com. Okay, NASA takes chess to outer space. ISS defeats mission control in first game. Now this is pretty cool, actually. This is the team at the International Space Station. Really nice. And I guess somebody who's into math can tell me, or not math, somebody who's into science can tell me, are the pieces glued to the board, or is it the pieces actually the pieces just don't move because there's no gravity? Like, is it just that they don't move because they're strapped onto the board, or is it actually there's no gravity, so they just like literally can't move? I don't know. Maybe it's a magnetic board. Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's cover this. We have NASA literally took chess out of this world in April as the International Space Station, the ISS, situated in space, played against the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA's mission control on Earth. The first game occurred concurrently with the VOD World Chess Championship 2023, where GM Laurent beat Jan Nepomniachtchi to become the 17th world champion. The ISS won the first game on April 16th, the same day as Game 6 of the World Championship. According to a Reddit post by NASA, each team made 1 or 2 moves per day. Playing from space, Frank Rubio, Woody Hoburg, Sultan Aynadi, and Stephen Bowen took on the flight directors playing from Earth in NASA's Mission Control Center at the Johnson Space Center. All right. The second game is already underway. Now this is pretty rad, isn't it? They're playing chess in outer space. So one day when we meet our alien compatriots like on Mars or any of the other planets beyond, we'll at least know that we can play chess better than they can. So yeah, pretty cool. Chess in space. The first ever game between astronauts and people on Earth took place in 1970. It was played between Russian cosmonauts and representatives of the Earth over the radio and ended in a draw. In 2020, GM Sergei Karyakin played a chess game against cosmonauts Anatoly Ivanishin and Ivan Wagner to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this cosmic feat. NASA and the US Chess Federation organized the Earth versus Space match in 2008 to 2009, where Greg Shamtoff's Expedition 17 from ISS played Earth's team, comprised of the United States K3 champions and chess club teammates from Stevenson Elementary School in Bellevue, Washington. The Earth won that one, and chess.com published an article including the game here. Now that there is a world champion and a global champion, how far can we take our beloved game of 64 squares? Nice. Good, short, sweet article. And we have one more to cover. What is this? One more article is a blog from chess.com. It's written by Thummins. Albert Einstein versus J. Robert Oppenheimer. This interesting game of chess was played between Albert Einstein and J. Robert Oppenheimer in 1933 at Princeton University in New Jersey. Einstein won with Oppenheimer's resignation on move 24. Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955, was a German-born theoretical physicist who developed the theory of relativity, one of the 2 pillars of modern physics alongside quantum mechanics. His work is also known for its influence on the philosophy of science. He is best known to the general public for his mass-energy equivalence formula E=mc², which has been dubbed the world's most famous equation. He received the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics for his services to theoretical physics, and especially for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect, a pivotal step in the development of quantum theory. J. Robert Oppenheimer, 1904 to 1967, was an American theoretical physicist and professor of physics at the University of California, Berkeley. Oppenheimer was the wartime head at the Los Alamos Laboratory and is among those credited with being the father of the atomic bomb for their role in the Manhattan Project, the World War II undertaking that developed the first nuclear weapons. Here is the game attributed to Albert Einstein. The game was first published in Freud am Schock, The Pleasure of Chess by Gerhard Henschel in 1959. All right, first of all, you can hate my New Jersey accent. I don't care. I literally don't care. Okay, let's take a look at the game. So what do we have? We have e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6. Okay, so standard Ruy Lopez Spanish variation. And Oppenheimer plays the open Spanish with knight takes e4. Now here we get rook e1 played by Einstein, which is a big mistake. Of course, it's not correct. Actually, let me is there a way for me to let me get the PGN of this, control C, and let me create a new tab so we can actually look at the game properly. Let me pull it up. Okay, let's create a PGN of this. And let me put this up here and let me refresh. Control V, or wait, Control Z. That didn't work. Wait, why didn't that work? Huh? Copy. And wait, we're Control V. There we go. All right, add game. Okay, so let's take a look at the game. And let me change the scene. Here we go. So we have a game between Albert Einstein and J. Robert Oppenheimer. Okay, so the opening pretty solid here, right? We get a classic Spanish. Now, of course, the move order is a little bit wrong. You're supposed to play knight f6 first, and the main reason is because when you play b5, bishop b3, knight f6, here white can play knight to g5, taking advantage of this weakness on f7. I think d4 is also playable as well here. So normally when you play this, you go knight f6 first, so that after castles b5, bishop b3, now you can just take, you dodge knight g5, you dodge d4, you dodge a4 ideas early, and it's a little bit more precise. So anyway, we get this position transposing back into the open variation of the Spanish with knight takes e4 here, and now Einstein blunders with rook e1. In this position, of course, you're supposed to play d4. There's a very famous game played in the 1995 World Chess Championship match between Gary Chess, also known as Gary Kasparov, and Vishy Anand from India, and it went d5 takes bishop e6, knight d2, knight c5, c3, d4, knight g5, d takes c3, takes bc3, queen d3, and the game went on from there. So at any rate, I've already done videos on that Kasparov and Anand game, but this game here has rook e1, which is a mistake, because now after d5, black is actually supposed to be completely fine. We get pawn to a4 played by Einstein, and now we get b4 played by Oppenheimer. Now a4 is actually a very, very good move, by the way. And by the way, when I say good move, I don't mean objectively in terms of whether the move itself is good, but it shows good understanding of the structure here to play a4 to try to open this up. Like, this is not a move that I would, someone who's a little bit newer to the game would definitely look at like d3 or knight c3 or something here in the center immediately, maybe d4, like d4, d3 or knight c3 or something along these lines. But playing a4 actually shows good understanding to try and open up the edge of the board. Now obviously in this position it's not great here because black can go bishop c5 attacking the pawn on f2, and black is significantly better, but that's kind of beside the point. So we get a4, b4 played by Oppenheimer. Now we get d3, solid move by Einstein, removing the knight and winning the pawn on e5. Game continues with knight to c5. We get knight takes e5 played here, and now knight to e7 played by Oppenheimer. Now this move is already, I mean, maybe knight c5 is already wrong. I think you kind of have to go to f6, so after takes, you can play bishop to e7 and the knight guards the pawn. Whereas in this specific position, after knight takes, knight c5, knight e5, you trade the knights and block, you just lose the pawn. Same goes for bishop e6. I can still take due to the pin of the rook towards the king. So Oppenheimer just blunders going to c5 instead of back to f6, guarding the pawn on d5. So knight c5, we get knight takes e5, knight e7. Now knight e7, by the way, not a terrible move either here because it shows understanding. Someone like Felix Longgel, for example, would probably play knight d4, blundering the classic fossil with knight c6 checking the king, and now the knight wins the queen on d8 or e7. Very similar to that legendary Petrov game which XQC lost. So knight e7 shows good understanding. These players are definitely, I mean, they're amateurs, but they're not complete beginners, that is for sure. Knight e7 is a good move. It's almost the only move that you can play where the material balance remains the same. So we get queen to f3 played by Einstein, trying to create the checkmate on f7, another excellent move. And now we get f6 being played by Oppenheimer. Now you could play bishop to e6 here, guarding the pawn on f7, and after something like knight to d2 or bishop to e3, it feels very unpleasant for black to play, but you're still very much in the game. Actually, sorry, bishop e3 does hang this, so knight to d2 would be the best move to guard the bishop, and you have trouble developing the knight, the bishop, and the rook. If you move the knight to g6, I can take due to the pin, and you will lose some material here, so white is better. At any rate, Oppenheimer plays f6, queen h5 played by Einstein. We get g6, knight takes g6, excellent move. So Einstein definitely not a beginner, I'll be very clear about that. Like the last couple of moves, he clearly studied some chess, he clearly knew some of these basic themes with these ideas with the knight and the queen. Knight takes g6 is an excellent move here. So Einstein definitely not a beginner by any stretch. We get hg6, queen takes h8. Of course, black can't take back with the knight because then you lose your king on e8. So after hg6, queen h8, Oppenheimer takes the bishop. We get takes, queen to d6 here, bishop h6. Wow, excellent move, perfect move. Now the bishop on f8 is pinned and you win it, and the game should end pretty soon. We get king d7, bishop takes f8, bishop b7, and now queen g7. Again, another excellent move here, not playing rook takes e7, because after queen takes rook takes and rook h8, white is still winning. You have an extra knight on the board, but the game will go on. Queen g7, very clean. You're going to win this knight here due to the pin, and you're going to have a lot of extra material. We get rook e8. Einstein plays knight d2, c5. He goes rook a d1, a5 played here. Knight c4. What the fridge? Wait, is this a real game? Because I mean, this is like very high quality. I mean, obviously, if I was looking over this game with someone who's newer to chess, I would say just trade everything off on e7 and win this position simply with the rook and knight versus the bishop. But Einstein here, like rook a d1 and knight c4 is styling here. So I don't know what Einstein's rating was, but this is styling. Very good play here. Very good play. Knight c4, we get d c4, d takes c4, and now you lose the queen d1, rook d1, king c8, bishop e7, and Oppenheimer resigns. They played in 1933 and this PGN turned up in 1959. It's not real. I mean, I assume it's real because Oppenheimer was still alive in 1959, I assume, but I could be wrong on that. So very nice game here from Albert Einstein. His rating obviously very relative, as someone in chat said. It's all relative at the end of the day, but really high quality game. I would say this is probably like 1800 is my guess. Einstein wasn't known for being dumb. That is true. But that being said, you guys, joking aside, there are famous, there's a famous physicist who actually works at Princeton now. I forget his name. He's about like 1800, but he's like one of the leading proponents, I think, of like string theory and all that gobbledygook, insane five head stuff. And he's only like 1800. So if looking at this game, my guess is about a 1800 level game. All right, let's get back to the article here. And okay, so we have that game, and then it goes on. It says some have attributed the above game to Albert Einstein's son. Oh wait, what? Did I just get debated? I did a great analysis and I got debated. Some such as Dennis Holding and Andy Soltis have attributed the above game to Albert Einstein's son Hans Albert, 1904 to 1969, and played at Berkeley in 1945, where Hans taught. But Hans Albert did not play chess. There is no indication that J. Robert Oppenheimer was in Berkeley in 1945. He was either at Los Alamos, New Mexico, or Princeton, New Jersey in 1945. He was at Berkeley from 1929 to 1933. Andy Soltis, writing in the July 1979 issue of Chess Life on page 372 in an article called Science at Play, says this game was apparently played in the late 1940s when Hans Albert Einstein, son of Albert Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer were both on the faculty at the University of California at Berkeley. Another source says that black was not Robert Oppenheimer, the physicist, but Max Oppenheimer, 1885 to 1954, the European artist. Regardless, this game is an interesting one and one worth playing through. All right, so apparently I should have read the rest of the article before going through this whole game. Hans Albert Einstein discovered the beads effect. Good one, you guys. Good one.